Olu Phillips joins us now to talk more about the sector and all the goings on in the year 2020. Olu, great to see you. And what a year it has been, a year of electricity supply in Nigeria. And I know Nigerians have a lot of stories to tell. A lot of investment has gone into this, and you did a lot of reports on electricity supply, which is the bulk of your report tonight, electricity supply in 2020. So much investment has been made into this, and it seems like we really haven't gotten anywhere.
So the truth is that Nigerians must begin to understand that the business of electricity isn't as simple as plug and play. So when investments go in, you have to give it a lot of time for gestation. That's not making an excuse for the federal government, because remember, there are also 40% shareholders in the privatized sector, of course. So it means the federal government owns 40% in the discos. Howbeit, from end-to-end description of whether from the generation down to the distribution companies, what we need to understand is that until you pay, for instance, for your consumption, the transmission company, the generation company, the gas person, and all of those sectoral units do not get paid. So when gas is generated, supplied to the generating company builds and generates power, pushes that to the transmission. Transmission pushes that to the distribution. Distribution finds a way through inefficiencies and all of the things they've tried to do to get you supply, whether you are remotely located in Borno State or remotely located in Yanokwaja or you're in the mainland. They have to distribute this power. They have to collect this money. When they collect this money, they now send it back. Now, be that as it may, investments have gone in, and that's because we're coming from a period where it was government-owned to privatization, which is just about 7 years now.
Which is supposed to be better anyway.
It should be better, but I think what has happened is that we should have been seeing a situation of more commercialization rather than just the party of a privatization, because there's a broken trust. For instance, if you ask the transmission company of Nigeria, they will tell you the problem is the disco. If you ask the disco will tell you it's the transmission. If you ask the generation will say we have about 13,000 megawatts of capacity, but the transmission can only wheel 5,000. And transmission will tell you we are pushing about 4,000 plus to the distribution companies, but the distribution companies don't have enough strength and muscles to collect that. Now, that's because from the beginning to the end, it is not a completely privatized system that allows you to put your money and make business. So, for instance, in Egbe Power, for instance, that generates over 1,000 megawatts, that power has to be put to the transmission station or lines, and it travels as far as Maiduguri, sometimes before it comes back to Lagos. So what we should be thinking about is to have embedded power whilst we are discussing or thinking about energy mix. So there's no reason why places like in the up north shouldn't have the wind power, shouldn't have the solar power. Where you have in the south, where you have enough gas, let's have enough gas thermal. And embedded in such areas that, in such a way that I can generate, I can transmit, and I can distribute. In doing that, you will have catchments of areas where you don't necessarily need to rely on the transmission before power can be circulated. And that's why it seemed at some point, federal government just said, you know what, enough of all of this. They signed a government-to-government agreement with Siemens to improve transmission and distribution. Now, there is a kind of foisting on the distribution company to say you have to align to these G2G agreements. So Siemens will provide all of this capacity, the backbone, the funding with just 15% from us, and make sure that we get power the way it should get to people. And hopefully 2025 is not too much far from now. We should have 25 megawatts.
2025, that's a long way ahead, Olu. But thanks for laying the foundation for us tonight. We'll be talking to your guest, Mecca Olowola, a bit later. But thanks again, Olu, for bringing us up to speed on this. We'll be examining your report a bit further.